Welcome to the video. My name is Nick Nascimento. If you're wondering who the hell is this dork, I am a salesman. I have made over $1.6 million in the last 2 years, and I have built a company called Sparta Solar in the state of Utah, which is the worst state to sell solar in the United States of America. We have over 60 sales reps in this last 6 months alone. After starting the company a little over a year ago, we've already paid out $6.4 million in commissions. We're on pace to do over $12 million in commissions and have a company of over 130 people by the end of the year in multiple states. What I want to share with you is how I went from making $200,000 a month as a sales rep while still transforming my health and my relationships in my life, my financial health, and also becoming a leader to build a world-class sales team that has now become a flywheel machine that's perpetuating the growth by itself. So you can go from making $200,000 a month selling to making over $200,000 a month as a business owner. I'm gonna share all the secrets I've learned, and I'm gonna kick this off by going right into the things of what not to do. So one of the biggest mistakes I've seen so many people make, I have made this myself, is trying to grow prematurely. Look, Jim Rohn, who mentored Tony Robbins, who was a sales legend, he said, you attract success to the degree that you have become. Many people will try to go recruit people prematurely where they've only made $20, $30, $40, $50,000 per month, which is not bad, that's good. But just think of recruiting and growth as like a magnet, okay? The bigger the magnet, the greater the attraction. Okay, so the bigger the success you have personally with your job, the more attractive you are to other sales reps. So for me, my poster child moment was making $200,000 a month in a state where most people weren't even making $20,000 a month. So one of the key takeaways here, okay, is delay gratification. So don't be too antsy to grow a team. Have patience. There was a time I went from president of sales of another company with 130 reps. We're doing over 30 million in revenue. And I went back to sales rep and I knew the power of focus in delaying gratification and telling people no. And so people said, hey, Nick, let me come sell for you. I said, no, I need to work on myself. I need to just sell. That focus allowed me to get disproportionate results selling 32 self-gen solar accounts where you're making about, $8,000 per deal. So number one is become attractive. Okay, now remember, you will attract to the degree that you've become. So for example, my company right now, Sparta, I have over 5 guys making over 6 figures per month. If I was never the leader that had made, $200,000 per month, why would these guys even respect me? If I had only done 50,000 per month, it's very unlikely that I'd be able to inspire or let alone attract guys that have the potential to make more than me, okay? So if you've never made more than 30,000 a month, you're not gonna find the A-type players attract or retain them, okay? Now attraction is one thing, we're gonna talk about retaining, another key thing. Okay, another pivotal mistake I've made is recruiting people before my onboarding process was refined. So look, you have to realize this requires patience. As I've gotten high-level mentorship from billionaires, okay, in the sales industry, as I've gotten proximity to different mentors, 8-figure entrepreneurs, 9-figure, and some of them even billionaires, they've taught me this principle of delay of gratification. Too many people are trying to achieve a certain goal too fast, okay? Tony Robbins always says we overestimate what we can do in 1 year, we drastically underestimate what we can do in 10 or even 5. And so shift your thinking from 1 year to 5 to 10 years, or even 3 years. Because if you're racing to make as much money as you can in 1 year, you're gonna do business wrong. You need to build the foundation that is gonna erect a large company. If you try to rush that foundation, you're not gonna be able to build that high. Now, on this topic of becoming attractive, for me, I break this down into 2 categories, okay? So there's 2 categories. I break this down: professional success and personal success. So professional success is purely high amount of sales volume, making a lot of money, okay? The personal success, it can be anything, okay? But it's usually gonna be in your fitness, in your health, your relationships, your emotional health, and your financial health, and your investments. So your personal success is gonna branch off into a few things. Your health, number one. And it doesn't have to be just all of these things. It can be one or a few of these things. And if you can get results in this area, for me, I was a lot skinnier. I wasn't in terrible shape, but I have really transformed my health, gone all in, okay? Another pivotal thing is relationships. Again, you don't have to be the master of all these things. I'm definitely not. But if you have good relationships in your life versus being the guy that gets tons of sales success and has terrible relationships, I've been that guy, okay? You're only gonna go so far. You're only gonna attract so many people. So if you're really good at relationships, but you don't make $200,000 a month, maybe you make 50, that's attractive. You provide value to other people that are top level sales reps that maybe struggle with relationships. So this is another way for you to bring value. And the other areas would be leadership and then finance and investing. So I've seen many great sales leaders that teach the reps how to make money, but then the great ones also teach them how to make their money work for them. Grant Cardone was an expert at teaching his people to invest their money into real estate so that it could build while they sleep. The second thing I see a lot of people do wrong when trying to grow a sales team is they try to do everything themselves. So the principle here is you have to learn to lean on other people and the right people. Build yourself a team. So the second point is to build a team. Now, when I talk about building a team, I'm actually not talking about building a sales team. Before I started popping off with those sales records here in Utah, okay, and I did that as a single dad, I found the right partner to fulfill my deals. I spent a lot of time doing research to get the right installer. I could have transparency. I knew my deals were gonna move through fast. I knew I was gonna get paid on time. I knew I could trust the guy, okay? Because if you start having good success, but then you have to pivot on your ops or who you sell with, what partner you have, it's gonna create a massive hindrance to your growth and progress. So get that lined up first. Make sure you partner with the right person, okay? And do not try to do everything yourself, okay? So before I built my solar company, I actually, and it's technically a sales dealer, and I'm proud of that, okay? Before this, I ran a pest control company. We did operations, I did everything. As an idiot, okay? I make way more money in way less time, and it's a lot more fun, and it's grown a lot faster, okay? So don't try to do everything. It's not smart. Delegate. What two people and the right partnerships can do will allow you to focus your time and energy on sales, recruiting, and marketing to get 10 times the results. And then if you want, when you're making millions, then you own operations. So partnership. The second part, and this doesn't mean you give equity, right? I don't have equity with my sales partnership here. The next part is you need to hire out operations to fulfill your payroll, different things like follow-up. This could be an executive assistant or a COO. For me, I actually found a COO. I set aside $10,000 per month, manage all my projects, all my customer projects to make sure they got installed and we got paid. And different tasks that came on my plate, I would have him take care of. So it allowed me to work on my business and in my business more, which allowed me to continue to grow my sales. What happens is a lot of people sell a high amount of volume. Let's say they make $100,000 in a month, and then their production drops because they're having to manage all these different things, or they recruit 5 different people and it becomes a shit show, okay? And the production drops. Delegate and play as a team, okay? So you want a COO type role or an executive assistant, okay? And if you don't have capital, go make sales. Sales solves all problems. You can also do different types of compensation with equity, with profit sharing if you don't have a lot of capital, and even production based. And you can even do a production-based payment system with these operators. Okay, the ultimate goal here with this part, step 2, is to buy back your time, to reinvest back into selling and creating more production, okay? If you're buying back your time and you're not reallocating that back into sales, marketing, or creating systems of growth, it's a complete waste of money. The third thing that you need to do is create a system of training, okay? The mistake I've seen so many people make, myself included, was trying to do all the training yourself, hands-on. Get behind a camera like this and record yourself. If you have no time because you're constantly selling, get a camera crew out in the field with you selling. That is a type of training. We have that on our training course. The reason you want to document, okay, so one of the key things here, guys, is you need to document to duplicate. If you want to duplicate your success at scale, you have to have a process. Build out standard operating procedures for setting the appointments, for closing your deals. As I was selling in between appointments when I wasn't knocking, as I hired my first setter to set appointments for me, I was using my free time to write out my 90-page training manual, right? To spill my brains out on how to persuade people to buy solar. I was writing out systems of scheduling appointments. I was writing out systems of how to do follow-up. I was writing out my scripts of how to contact a customer. I had a script for how to save a deal if they're trying to cancel. Document so you can duplicate. A lot of people building sales teams skip this step, okay? And it makes it very hard to scale, okay? Because everyone's gonna start asking you the same questions. And the reason I can have 60 plus people is because I've documented processes and trainings, and I also have leadership and systems of reporting and training. Okay, the fourth step, this is the most important. This is where so many people go wrong, is they're trying to make money for themselves. Your number one focus is get your people results. So when I first started, I actually tried to make as much money per guy I recruited and try to negotiate the compensation. Now, if a guy comes in and says, Nick, I want this much, and I normally pay this much, I don't take advantage and put him here. I actually say, buddy, I'm gonna pay you more than what you're hoping because my goal is to make you rich. If you help people get what they want, you'll have everything you want. That is a principle of sales and leadership. So stop trying to maximize profits for you and maximize profits for your people, because that is how they will stay and recruit and grow a team for you. So to put this in perspective, in our first 6 months of Sparta, I had 3 of my top closers that were making more money than me as the owner. And I wasn't resentful. I was very proud about this. A lot of guys transitioning have this struggle of seeing other people have massive success. But this is the pinnacle of building that foundation of leadership that you're gonna need to scale your team. So the first thing here within getting your people results is have an aggressive comp plan. Now your comp plan is critical to the success, okay? You don't just wanna have a high percentage that they make. You want it to be tiered, retroactive on monthly production, okay? That resets every single month. That keeps them motivated. You want good incentives. Now, incentives are kind of a tough thing. They vary vastly depending on the reps you have. Some reps are motivated by swag. Some are motivated by trips. Some just want more money. One quick tip I can give you regarding incentives: never give out cash incentives. Always do some type of product or experience. I personally love experiences with people because it builds memories, and products and items come and go. And so experiences help build relationships, and that's what I'm in my business for. And then going back, the third thing here is getting your people results professionally and personally. So a lot of guys just focus on helping them make money. If you help your reps get results outside of the business, you will buy loyalty and you're gonna create friendships that will last. And business and success is built through relationships. So pour into your people, give without expectation of receiving back. I've had countless conversations where I've poured into people, I've mentored people, knowing that they probably weren't gonna work with me, but I detached just to serve and empower that person because I love helping people. If you can find that same desire to love, connect, and serve, you'll have a lot more success. So that third thing is pour into your people inside and outside the business, professionally and personally. Now for me, I had seen transformation in my personal life. Don't just copy me. Like if you're not big into health, that's okay. I would challenge you to go hard on your health because it's gonna amplify everything in your life. But for me, I personally seen transformation in my health. I had massive setbacks in my relationships because of a pornography addiction that I overcame. And then I transformed my emotional health and my investing strategies. And so I love sharing and pouring into people and helping them find the same transformations. So I talk to my reps about addictions. I love helping them face their demons and overcome those. I love helping people transform their physique and setting goals to improve their fitness. It's not about how they look, it is purely about the discipline and how they feel. And how they do one thing is how they do everything. So if you can be not just the financial sales mentor, but just a mentor in some aspect, right? Even if you suck at health and fitness, and let's say you suck at investing, but you have really good things to teach people about relationships, and you have an amazing relationship with your significant other and other people in your life, you provide massive value. Lean in on that. Okay? And be real and authentic. This is a superpower of leadership, is do not put off a facade. When you are real with people, tell people the good, the bad, the ugly about you, the industry, and the business, and you never talk shit on your competitors, you'll win a lot more people over. I always say cons convince. I've seen this selling. I've seen this with recruiting. Okay? I lean into my weaknesses. I humanize myself. It helps me relate and connect, not just selling again, but also leading, okay? And a lot of leaders, guys that come in, try to flex. I used to be the guy, Audi R8 by the time I was 24, a BMW i8. I've had all these different supercars, my dream home by I was 26, and I've sold all those things now because it's a facade, it's fake. People don't want the fake you. They want the real you. They want to know the broken version of you that has got to where you're at, because that's going to inspire and empower them and buy that loyalty and drive action. Okay, the fifth point, guys, is create world-class culture. Now look, this doesn't mean just copy what I'm doing, but success leaves clues. What I'm doing, it's not just that we cold plunge and we do workouts and we have a book club, we have an investor club, and we pull in mentors to come speak to our people. Okay, you can copy some of those things, but the reason these things work is because they're an extension of me. And look, your story, your shit is unique. I talk about overcoming pornography all the time. That obviously is not gonna be a principle of success in business, that you have to talk about overcoming pornography. But it works for me because it's part of my story. And people are attracted to a story. You want to be real and authentic. When you're authentic, you vibrate at the highest frequency of attraction. So creating a world-class culture, again, is pouring into your people. For me, it's been those things that help shape their mindset and their character outside of the business. And again, the more you pour into your people outside of the business, it shows you really care. It buys stickiness and loyalty, okay? Now, the other cool side note about doing these things is it sharpens their mind. You know, as their health improves, they have more energy. They'll knock more doors or make more calls. As they do things like cold plunges, my team, it trains their mind to do hard things. So knocking doors for 8 hours doesn't become as hard for my people versus other companies. They're having to pull teeth. So creating a culture around doing hard things and embracing challenges because we grow from challenges. Okay, if you can create that perspective and that mantra in your company, it's going to create a unique environment. Okay, and one of the key things is you want your people to feel like they're part of something different. Okay, another thing we've done at Sparta is getting obsessed about serving our clients. We take pride in being more obsessed about this than anyone else. And it comes back to my story. When I was selling, I've sold hundreds of families in Utah. Every single family, I tracked the 30-year savings, the long-term savings for that family by switching to solar. So I tracked how much value I brought every single homeowner. Very few people in sales do that. They track how much money they make. I was tracking how much value I was bringing. And how ironic is it that I made a lot more money than most salespeople? Again, the principle, you make money in proportion of value. You obsess on value, obsess on serving. So I've made that a part of our culture, is being sold on serving, empowering other people. You want your people, again, to be an extension of you. They're going to look to you as a leader and lean into what makes you unique. What things have you transformed? What things have you overcome? What's your story? Lean into that and make that a part of your business. And to summarize, one thing where you cannot go wrong in this area is having your people focus on self-development. Half of our training at our company, we literally brand ourselves not as a solar company, but as a self-development organization that happens to sell solar. Do you see how I'm unique within my own space? Okay. When Elon Musk built Tesla, he didn't just brand himself as another car company. He was completely different. So embrace being different, embrace being unique. All right, number 6 is create duplication and multiplication, okay? Now, one of the things I've learned, mistakes I've made, take it from me, steal the nugget here, okay, is you want to plug the holes in your cup before you start pouring into it. Nick, what does that mean, bro? Think of your business as a cup. Every business has holes in it, whether you admit it or not. And as you put new bodies, new talent into that cup, that business, if there's holes of problems, of systems, of training, culture, accountability, it's going to start bleeding out, okay? And for every 3 reps you pull on, you're going to lose 2, okay? You want to pull on 10 reps, and instead of like most companies, they lose 8 of them, and they have to constantly backfill. You want to get to a point where you pour in 10, and you have 8 stick, and only 2 leave. And a lot of people just keep on pouring in. I used to be that guy. So shift your focus from recruiting to results. Get reps. So instead of obsessing on reps, obsess on results. So results over reps. So with this, you have to master your onboarding process. So onboarding process comes before recruiting. Until you have a bulletproof onboarding process, you're going to waste a lot of time, money, and energy recruiting and backfilling. And when you pull on 15 reps and 10 end up leaving, it hurts the other 5 that are already there. So take the time up front, build the foundation, add to that foundation you're already building to get things right. So to give you an example, we used to have onboarding process very clunky. Now it is varied out every step, okay? We onboard them to our training course. We have them sign paperwork. We have expectations set of their schedule. We walk them through the training and how to spend their next 3 days exactly. We coordinate them with a specific leader, schedule a time for them to train at the office. We have them put on their calendar the times to come to the correlation meetings and to our cold plunge activities and other fitness activities we do as a company. We give them all the phone numbers for leadership and key people in the organization. We get them onboarded to our CRMs, to Canvas and Prospect. We show them which videos and trainings to watch first. We walk them through exactly how to memorize the door approach and how much time it should take. We teach them different things of reps have done that have failed and what not to do, and then also what things reps did early on that have helped them succeed. And so all these things are clearly outlined for the rep, and so there's no gray area. They know exactly what it takes to succeed and what it takes to fail. A lot of companies have a big gray area in between. We have this clearly outlined for every person that walks in the company. The next part of this, okay, this is like a premature, is attract and detract. Look, in sales, there's A players, B players, and C players. Most recruiters and most sales guys trying to build a team will recruit anybody. It's like, bro, you got a pulse, you're hired. This is going to be a massive setback for you for many reasons, okay? You do not want to pull on B and C players. You can sometimes recruit a B player and turn them into an A player, okay? Just remember this, C players are cancer, okay? They affect your culture, they affect the morale, they'll drop the work ethic and volume. People won't show up. So know exactly what you're looking for and what you're not. For example, I found reps that I know could make $50,000 a month in my organization. And I have told them to go work somewhere else because I knew the net gain at the end of the day would be negative because of their lack of energy, their entitlement, and different things like that. So have different standards for your organization and stick to those standards and make sure those standards align with your values, your core values. So to summarize this point, don't be a desperate little bitch that's trying to recruit everybody. Know exactly what you're looking for and be willing to turn the majority of people that come in the door away. It's better that you recruit 2 of the right people than you recruit 20 of the wrong. You'll go a lot faster over time doing it right. Okay, the next thing is you have to have a path of progression. Tony Robbins talks about how there's 6 human needs, and one of those needs is the need for growth. And if people don't have a path of growth and what's next, even if they're making a lot of money, they're going to fizzle out, start their own thing, and go somewhere else, okay? You need to paint the vision of where they're at and how they can clearly get to the next step and outline specific metrics, specific timeframes to get there. And you want to tie it to production in sales and recruiting. Other ways to duplicate and multiply, guys, is get your people posting on social media, okay? Create a culture where people are loud. So it's not just you and the company posting on social. You want everybody, okay? Now, again, this goes back to getting results. If you're having reps that don't get results posting, it does no good. So this is why getting people results is so paramount. It increases retention, it increases your attraction as a company. It increases leadership, which allows you to scale and retain more people as you grow. And then finally, you want to give your people financial incentive to recruit and build. Okay, I made a mistake where I just tell people to recruit, and they're like, what's in it for me, Nick? And a lot of people ended up recruiting because they loved us and they loved the value the company brought them, and they recruited even without the compensation for it. But it did backfire overall. So learn from my mistake. Give a type of compensation to your people to help recruit people to the company. You do not have to pay an override. You can also increase their personal production. You can increase their personal pay on their own sales instead of paying an override. This is a great way to actually compensate rookie reps. All right, guys, finally, the last point to tie everything together is you need to create systems of leadership, reporting, and accountability. Okay, finding leaders and having people step up as leaders is one thing, and it's not going to do you any good unless there's clear communication on how they are compensated as a leader and what their end goal and how to train, mentor, and improve these reps, okay? For your leadership and your systems and your accountability to even work in your company, you have to first gather the data, which means you want to create a system. You have to use a CRM that tracks KPIs. KPIs are key performance indicators, okay? Examples of how many conversations your salespeople have that day, that week, that month. Of those, how many appointments did they schedule? How many of those sat in a sales meeting? And of those that sat, how many of those closed? What's your attrition? Okay, and then having ratios on all these numbers. A lot of businesses don't know where they're at. And if you do not track your KPIs, you are not running a business, you're not running a sales team, you're running a shit show. So this is, again, another layer of that foundation to build. You don't have to do this, but it'll be a total crap show. You're going to be all over the place and you're not going to be able to diagnose. And what's going to happen is your reps are going to have problems. And if you were tracking KPIs, you know exactly where to address the problem early on before it exacerbated and blew up in your face and they quit. Okay. So numbers tell all. And I can look at a set of data of 100 plus reps and know within seconds what I need to do, what action I need to take with specific reps to move the needle to help increase retention and get those people results. So it's no longer a guessing game where I have to hop on a 20-minute phone call with every single person. I can look at a set of data and instantly know exactly what they need to improve, whether it's their set rate, their close rate, their work ethic and their volume, their consistency. Okay, so start tracking your data. Use a CRM that does this for you. Pay the price for it. It's essential. Okay, and do this early on. All right, the second thing here within this is you need to create a cadence of communication. Okay. Look, just having reactive phone calls with your leaders, even if it's every day, it's not good because it's reactive. There's proactive energy of planning and executing, moving towards a goal. And then there's reactive. And nothing great happens of reactive energy. It's important to have those reactive calls to update each other, but you want to have times blocked off to communicate certain metrics and goals and improvements and talk about each rep individually. Okay. So for example, I meet with my top leaders every single week to look at their pods, their teams, and how their reps are performing. And within 24 20 minutes of looking at the data on 20 plus people, we know exactly what to focus on, what pivots and changes need to make. And we'll see an increase in production of 20 to 50% from a 20-minute meeting and having very intentional plan of action for the next week. Now, look, you also have to have standard operating procedures for leadership. In our company, if they're under 5% set rate, we have a standard operating procedure of how to help them. They schedule a one-on-one to train them, and then they'll schedule a time to go shadow them in the field. And if a rep is over 8%, we know they're fine. And we also look at other data points like their sit rate. If their sit rate is under 25%, we know, hey, we need to schedule a one-on-one and schedule probably a 30-minute window of training to really deep dive with that rep on how to improve that sit rate. We even have specific things outlined. If their sit rate is below this, have them watch this training video, read this page of the training manual, and work on exactly this. Okay, so it's very specific. If this, then we do that. Now, you also have to have a certain cadence with your reps, even if things are going well or not well, of having a one-on-one with a specific leader. This doesn't need to be an hour-long one-on-one. Sometimes they're 5 minutes, but they're usually 5 to 15 minutes. And the cadence is usually once a week or once a month, depending on how long they work with you and the results that they're getting. And in these one-on-ones, you're usually talking about their goals and the things that they're struggling with. And you express the desire to help, serve, and mentor them and get them where they want to go. So those are one-on-one sessions where you're kind of hearing all their crap and helping them break through, almost like a therapy session, but also as a coach, setting the goals and the vision for what's next and where they can improve. And then you're giving them specific goals for that week or that month and basing those goals on production and specifically inputs over outputs. So how many conversations they're having, how many doors they're knocking, how many cold calls they're making, okay? And make them laser focused on those inputs. These are also times for you to sit down and talk about their family life, their personal life, and really be there as a support, okay? Now, holding space for people as a leader requires you to hold space for yourself. This is why taking care of yourself every day, every morning, self-developing yourself is so critical. It's not that you have to, but if you do, you'll be able to hold more space as a leader and empower other people. Okay, guys, I know we covered a lot in this video, but I promise if you execute on these principles, you won't just build a sales team that will make millions, but you'll build a movement and a machine and a flywheel that will continue spinning and producing revenue for you. Okay, and then you'll be able to copy and paste and continue to duplicate and, like myself, eventually become a CEO. So I love helping people find the success. If this brought you any value, please follow the channel. We are obsessively training on self-development, sales strategies, how to operate a sales team, how to operate a business. I have friends with top sales trainers like Andy Elliott, Jeremy Miner, Grant Cardone, and I've studied and worked with these guys to apply these principles myself. And I love sharing what I've learned, principally the things that I've done wrong so that other people can learn from my mistakes. And if you're wondering, Nick, what's in this for you? It's the same principle, guys, that I teach. The more value you give with no expectation, the more that comes back.